As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. We light our chalice knowing that our hope and our passion are needed to change the world. We bring different gifts to the work, but we come together in one faith, that what we do makes a difference, both to our work and in ourselves. Once again, welcome to West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church. So glad that you are here on this snowy morning. Thanks for making it out. And we're so glad about the folks joining us from home. Welcome to you also. We have so much that's good going on. Check out the West Shore Weekly in your order of service about events coming up and how you can get involved. Please also note the concert this afternoon for the Cleveland Composers Guild at 3 o'clock has been canceled. We're here this morning to talk about some of the beautiful things here in our church, and we are very excited to welcome our guest speakers this morning. Jerry?
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Good to see everybody. Thank you for being with us this morning on this snowy but beautiful place indoors. I want to introduce our speakers. First of all, if you notice in your order of service, Ruth Burkaw was to speak today. She had an accident falling on Friday afternoons, and she's been hospitalized. So please keep her in her thoughts. She's raring to probably continue to go, and she certainly would have loved to have been here this morning. It's something we've been planning for quite some time. But again, keep her in your thoughts. And I'll be sharing some of her message today in a few minutes about her particular pieces. But I also welcome today Dan Pruitt, who he and I began the Aesthetics Committee almost 20 years ago here at West Shore, and we co-chairs. He continues to be involved, but Dan was a North Olmsted art teacher for over 30 years. Upon retirement from that successful art career, he began having his own studio at the Lake Erie Screw Factory in Lakewood for 10 years, where he exhibited and built pieces in fused glass and other works of art. He's the proud father of 3 children, am I right? And a lot of you may remember Chloe. Chloe was one of our very first worship associates as a teenager when she was in high school, so quite an accomplishment. I can back up. I can share that Dan's wife Carol and Dan were married here in the church by Reverend Michael McGee back in the 1990s. And Dan continues to be embracing in the arts. He recently was the one responsible for doing the beautiful restoration of the RE Leadership Hallway of all those photographs of our wonderful religious leaders, and continues to be greatly involved. Just last year had an exhibit here of his fused glass and mixed media pieces. So that's a little bit about Dan. I hope I didn't exclude anything very special. And Carol's in the back. Carol, wave your hand so we all know Dan's wife, Carol. A lot of you know her. Welcome, Carol. And then I guess I get to introduce myself here briefly. So I'm Jerry Devis, for anyone who doesn't know me. I chair the Studies Committee. This has been a long time planning with Reverend Anthony to fill in today while he's on sabbatical. But I've been with Dan on the committee and have chaired it now for the last about 17 years when Dan stepped away with a wonderful committee, which I'll introduce in a little bit. But personally, I was an art teacher for actually 46 years, and I don't know how that can be when I'm only 48 years old, but anyways, needless to say. But served in a wonderful capacity and part-time a little bit administration with the Parma City Schools. I left that career thinking you're going to retire at that time, and by Dr. Charlie Farrell and Carolyn Farrell, who are members of West Shore, I began working with them in a capacity caring for individuals with dementia and Alzheimer's through the Farrell Foundation, which is in Westlake. And I serve as the executive director. So that's my retirement, so to speak. But it's very rewarding work and a great opportunity. And we continue a wonderful partnership with many of you as well here at West Shore. And I serve as chair of the Studies Committee and also serve with David Blazer as co-chairs of the Worship, Music, and Arts Council. And you'll hear about that often as well. So that's a little bit about me. I can't leave my partner Dave out. He's not here, but he'll probably watch this service by Zoom. But my partner Dave is a Unitarian Universalist minister in Santa Rosa, California right now. And he's been doing that for 3 years, and his time there will be coming to a conclusion, and his journey will be moving somewhere else. But he often comes back and visits y'all, and he says good morning to all of you this morning. So thank you.
Thank you. So while the children and youth are dismissed to their classes, let's now greet each other warmly, and the greeting time will end with the sound of the bowl.
For me, West Shore is a source of hope at a time when hope has become a precious commodity. And I am so grateful for this community, and I'm honored today to speak on behalf of this year's upcoming pledge campaign. A pledge is a significant way to express our commitment to this community and our hopes for its future, with each of us having a different reason for arriving at West Shore, different meaningful and life-affirming experiences within this community. The collective heart of this community yearns and beats for a more kind and just world. And right now, what I would like to do is invite each of you to reflect on the good things that have happened to you here at West Shore, as well as your hopes for this community. So all of you in your order of service should have a nice 3x5 note card. There should also be pencils in the pew. And in a moment, the wonderful Dave Blazer is going to play some lovely music. And I invite you to think of West Shore with love and appreciation and hope, and share some of your story. What brought you here? What gives you hope? And what has helped bring life-affirming experiences to you from West Shore? Share your heart and tell your story. Dave? I want to thank all of you for doing this, and I hope that this time has been good for your hearts. The main events of this year's pledge drive are going to be in May, once Reverend McCarr returns from part 2 of his sabbatical. And for now, thank you for your stewardship of this beloved community, and our ushers will now collect your note cards and any other financial gifts you wish to give at this time to support the many ministries of this church. Thank you.
That was lovely. The writer Toni Morrison had these words to say about beauty. She said, "I think of beauty as an absolute necessity. I don't think it's a privilege or an indulgence. It's not even a quest. I think it's almost like knowledge, which is to say, it's what we were born for. I think finding, incorporating, and then representing beauty is what humans do. With or without authorities telling us what it is, I think it would exist in any case. The startle and the wonder of being in this place. This overwhelming beauty. Some of it is natural, some of it is man-made, some of it is casual, some a mere glance. But it is an absolute necessity. I don't think we can do without it any more than we can do without dreams or oxygen. The startle and the wonder of being in this place. Isn't that lovely? This place this morning is West Shore. And for me, being here at West Shore is a feast for the senses. The breadth of artistic talents that are shared here on an ordinary Sunday are truly amazing. I find it inspiring, uplifting, and an affirmation of what is good and beautiful in this world. The sights and sounds, not only within the sanctuary, but throughout the building. Art is always present, and sometimes a subtle surprise. The attention to detail displays a profound level of caring and an expression of love from so many individuals. On behalf of myself and all the members of this congregation, we see and appreciate the gifts of the artists here today and the work of all the current and former members of the Aesthetics Committee over the years. We thank you deeply for creating and maintaining the beauty of this place. We offer our heartfelt gratitude, and we can't wait to hear your stories this morning. And now, all are welcome to come forward to share from the heart in our ritual of For All That Is Our Lives.
These are the joys and sorrows of our hearts, which in Reverend McCarr's absence will be shared with Kathy Strasser, head of our pastoral care team, and held with care until Reverend McCarr's return. And I'd also like to share, behind me is a beautiful work of art that has been on our chancel for the last year and a half, intermittent times with other displays. But about 2 years ago, Reverend McCarr was concerned that he had a large stack of many of these beautiful cards and prayers in his office, and he didn't know how to continue keeping them and how might we recycle them. And so the idea was for him to come up with some solutions. So he approached the aesthetics committee, and we had some conversations, and the idea was to create a work of art based on them. So with the expert guidance of Elaine Cohn, who's done some work in cast paper, and myself, we took the cards and recycled them, and that's how we created the beautiful paper chalice that's lighted on the chancel. So that's all recycled prayers. So there's hundreds of messages and words in that work of art, all from your hearts. So thank you. Well, part of aesthetics is using our visual sense. For those who are sighted, I want all of you right now, you've been using those eyes a lot, driving in that snow this morning and observing everything here in the sanctuary. So I want everybody now to kind of rest a little bit. You've had already a taxing morning. So close those eyes, please. Even those at home, I want you to close those eyes in front of your computer. Keep those eyes shut. Keep those closed. No peeking. No peeking. I'll tell you when you can open those eyes. I see some people peeking. In just a moment, I want you to slowly open those eyes and look towards the right side of the chancel, and voila! We have created a fabulous live work of art this morning. About 10 years ago, we created a variety of pieces here at West Shore during the summer, out in our rotunda area. Our dear friend Bob French built this very large frame, almost like a stage for us. And over the course of about 5-6 summers, we staged about 60 works of art that were performed by members of the church in costume and props and fabulous different images of art. And John and Susan Startel today are creating The Kiss. And we thought it was perfect for a Valentine's Day kind of weekend. It's really the story of two lovers by Gustav Klimt, the Viennese artist, done in the early part of the 20th century. And so the live art is a fabulous way to recreate these wonderful, wonderful works of art. So this morning, we appreciate John and Susan putting this together, one of the most famous pieces by Gustav Klimt. So let's give them some applause here. Did someone get a picture of it? Thank you. Thank you. So, we've always been asked to restage it, so the studies committee will give it some consideration for futures, but again, a wonderful opportunity, so thank you. So let me transition here. So as I shared earlier today, Ruth Burkaw unfortunately injured herself, and she's been hospitalized. I'm certain we'll be getting you some updates. I know I talked to Dorothy Fowler yesterday, and the pastoral care team will be reaching out to Ruth and wishing her a speedy recovery. But I'd like to share the work of a little bit about the work of Ruth Burkaw. Much of her work is around this church. When you walk towards Baker Hall and outside of the chapel, the 4 very large pieces that are triangular in shape were created by Ruth in honor of our 50th anniversary. And they are on display, and in fact, those of her longer time members will remember when this wall graced those 4 pieces. They were here before we had the world religion symbols, and then they were moved to sort of as a gateway, as an entrance into our chapel. I should share that Ruth has had a stellar career in the arts. She trained at the Cleveland Institute of Art, very well connected in the Cleveland community. She is a member of the Archives of the Western Reserve, which is a very prestigious art organization on the east side. And she is in numerous collections and has exhibited extensively over her career. But the 4 pieces that she's created here each have a particular theme. Starting on the left, sunrise, sunset. It's intended as a celebration of nature's colors. On the wide exterior band, the painting depicts freshness of an early morning light on one side and intensified as they approach the center, and warmer radiant colors on the sunset on the opposite side. First Day, the second piece, is a composition directly based on early verses from the book of Genesis in the Bible. There's dark exterior bands of paint representing a rich soup, all presented swirling around a dramatically light focal point. In the dark band, there's reddish darks that appear on one facet. There's bluish darks on a second facet and neutral darks on the third. The interior triangle is painted in luminous sky-like color with a faint reference to a cloud, as though one might experience fresh air of a beginning day. The third piece is called Unexpected Trip. It's an arrangement of color on the 3 facets, and it's orchestrated to play on a Unitarian theme of one's unintended entrance into some situation, working through the unexpected, even if difficult, as she's experiencing obviously right now in her life, and emerging later having grown in the process. The 4th piece is called Senior. Outer areas of this work are underpinned by raised images directly from ancient symbols carved from stones from Newgrange, Ireland. The meanings were probably never specified, but they're rather muted, referring to mysterious unknowns and to power. Repeatedly glazed with paint and sanded down, the painting celebrates the miracle of survival, riches of insight and wisdom, and a patina acquired through age. So that shares the pieces. And again, these were painted on commission by the church in honor of our 50th anniversary celebration, and are now again outside the chapel. She also has pieces as you leave the building, as you go to the parking lot, above the doorway as you exit, and those pieces were purchased by John Carpathia Molnar a number of years ago, and after his passing, those were regifted back to the church, and she wanted a very special place. So those were installed, and there's a very nice plaque right by the doorway that you can read more about those particular pieces. But we've been very, very grateful because Ruth brought so much joy in terms of bringing different artists and different programs to West Shore. She was very much involved in what's called April Arts, which was a lively program of artists and other activities in terms of sometimes theater performances, music, poetry, etc. And those kinds of ideas and creative endeavors have always been an important part of church. I should also share the Studies Committee has a wonderful inventory of our permanent collection. And it's from an art inventory that Sherry Sika and Beth Bond, also former members who both passed away, but were very critical in seeing that we record it. And these were their words. Knowledge of artistic past is important in our vision of going forward. Styles and values may change, but historical value increases with time. When the sanctuary and the East Wing, and now this was written back before the renovation of the church, they were designed and were furnished with many modern furnishings. Many of the original art and designer pieces were discarded, unfortunately, and replaced by mass-produced commercial-grade items. This they felt was a loss. To preclude any future losses, they undertook creating an inventory and to promote an understanding and knowledge in the care of our remaining treasures. So currently, our aesthetics committee continues to maintain a permanent collection throughout the church, and there are well over 100 pieces of art, works of art, two-dimensional works, and three-dimensional artifacts from many, many artists around the world and many artists right here in West Shore. The inventory is produced to help many members, artists, museums, and galleries. We're most grateful to everyone who contributed, and their dream and their wish was for the ever-changing memberships, board of trustees, and ministers all need to be informed of our treasures and how they relate to our history. So that's a little bit about our past of the aesthetics. And now we're going to move to the next part.
In 2015, I was approached by Andy Kosorik, a member of the Building and Grounds Committee, to see if I might be interested in creating a bronze chalice for our memorial garden. My graduate degree is a Master of Fine Arts in Sculpture with a focus in metal casting in bronze and aluminum, something I had not done for many years. From 2010 to 2020, I maintained a glass fusing studio at Lakewood's Screw Factory, creating and selling my fused glass as a regional artist until my retirement in 2020. I developed a proposal that reflected the committee's concept of the chalice, and I was awarded the commission to create the sculpture. My vision was to create a flaming chalice without a flame, which the committee deemed impractical and expensive. The chalice is backlighted, and at night, the 2 layers of sky blue glass filled with tiny air pockets which are called champagne bubbles, create the effect of an endless blue sky filled with sparkling stars. The project took a year to complete and includes a 6-foot-high concrete base, 3 feet of which is buried underground. The base is faced with a bronze plaque identifying the chalice as part of the memorial garden where member ashes may be spread beneath the chalice. Committee and church members donated their time and resources to make this entire project possible, including the chalice, landscaping, lighting, and the garden. This is an example of how aesthetics and creativity link to enrich our lives here at West Shore. Please plan to attend my artist talk about the history of the UU chalice. A PowerPoint presentation will show the fascinating step-by-step creation of the chalice in wax as I prepare it to travel to the foundry in Cincinnati for casting in bronze. Information as to time and date will be available in the next few weeks. An evening presentation with refreshments will be planned. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Gerenser, and it is my privilege to share art through poetry as written by Ann Osborne, a beloved member of our church. Ann passed away this last year, and she was very dear to me, and I miss her. Ann chose to quarantine in her home since March of 2020 in order to protect her health, as she was unable to receive the COVID vaccine. Despite this restriction, she continued to serve West Shore as a commissioned lay minister and member of the Pastoral Care Committee. Ann cared about everyone and demonstrated that care, doing things like complimenting the aesthetics committee for the beautiful flowers on the chancel, sharing how much she enjoyed an art exhibit. She would have been proud but modest about having a number of her poems displayed in our recent poetry exhibit in the fireside room. My friendship with Ann was such a gift. She frequently emailed me when I was a worship associate to share how my reflections impacted her. Since I always sit at the front of the church, Ann would notice when I missed church and would reach out to me to make sure I was okay. I fondly remember how Ann often gave a sweet little giggle when she was speaking. It showed the joy in her heart, and I loved that about her. A number of years ago, Ann gifted me with a tea towel embroidered with the words, "Live happy." Ann lived this motto, and I'm grateful to have this reminder of her life and love, especially as she passed away last year. Here is Ann's poem, Strength for the Journey. The crystal quartz, deep violet blue, speaks to me, a slender slab hewn from the rock of ages. We could not know its beauty until it had been broken open, sliced, and polished. You too, it says, are stronger than you know. As you journey through the moments of your days, what gives you strength? Is it the stories heard and told, strange tales with all their joys and sorrows? Is it the listening, the speaking, the silence where words sink in and wisps of wisdom grow? Or is it passion, great enough to conquer fear? Or just the living and the loving, and even, yes, the leaving? Does strength appear when we are challenged to be stronger than we ever dared? Does strength come at last as we look into the abyss of human depravity and walk away believing there must be a better way?
Thank you, Elizabeth. I want you once again to take a moment to look around. Observe your environment. Look behind you, to the sides, to the screens. This is an aesthetic experience. It is also a part of your worship here every Sunday, both in the sanctuary and with other areas within and beyond these walls. In a service, there's multiple aspects of worship. There's the sermon, time for meditation or prayer, moments to enjoy and participate in the wonderful various styles and genres of music, and so many other aspects that impact worship. Time to think, time to respond, time to reflect. However, the aesthetics experience is often the unspoken component of worship. It is something you observed, and there may be something that prompts you in an internal way or internal reaction. Sometimes you may be just oblivious to the fact. But view the space here, in particular here in the sanctuary, the architecture, the interior design, the chancel screens, the 10 world religion symbols: the chalice, the chancel table, the flowers, the plants, the candles. Each can have a significant impact on your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings. And our aesthetics committee plays a big role in the planning of this space, and in particular worked in maintaining the integrity of the architecture of the building originally designed by Wally Tier & Associates in the early 1960s. With the upgrade to the building and particularly the renovation of the sanctuary, we worked with the architect and contractor to plan that upgraded it. Andy Kosorik was greatly involved in that and was a member of the studies committee for many, many years. And about 10 years ago, the whole process began to improve this particular space. With the help of Reverend Tricia Hart, we selected the 10 world religion symbols that each have a strong impact. And we try to light them each Sunday at the end of the service to even give them a stronger presence. We work with the interior designers. We chose a color palette of white and turquoise, copper, and terracotta colors, and they match the exterior as well. The chairs that Dan and Carol and I have been sitting on, and that Reverend Anthony and others, those were designed with the work that I worked with Bob French, the late Bob French. He handcrafted those by taking previous pews that were in the front rows here and took the wood to build those with the recycled wood. We even chose the cushions you're currently sitting on. Hopefully everybody's very comfy on those. We were very precise because that's very important in church. We also addressed accessibility, and we realized we still have some growth. We did lower the stage so it's more accessible, but we still have stairs, and there's still the challenges of getting to the loft. But David will tell you professional musicians, get that out, recognize this space for its excellent acoustics and really enjoy performing in this space. In addition to this space, we're extremely fortunate to have an incredible collection of artworks. Many were created or donated by members of the church. The piece that's on the order of the service today is by the internationally known and Cleveland-born artist Victor Schreckengoss. If you take a moment to look at that, and there's a brief description about the piece, and that piece is in our conference room A on the off the hallway next to Reverend Anthony's office. There's a piece next to the flowers that I'd like to point out on the chancel. It's a work that we've had in our collection that was a gift from Wally Tier and his family. It's a work by Samaya Halabi, who was a Palestinian Arab artist born in Jerusalem in 1936. And just a side note, it's been in our collection for many years. She is now 88 years old, and last year she was going to do a retrospective exhibit of her work. She was a graduate of Yale, the University of Michigan, and Indiana University, and also taught there. And last year, she was scheduled in early 2024 to do an exhibit of her work. And unfortunately, because of the things going on in the world at the time, the university eliminated her having that opportunity. It was a difficult decision, I'm certain, but at the same time, made quite a bit of press and publicity. In fact, there was a segment on CBS News about it. And we have her work in our collection, so I brought it to make certain you see that today. It's titled Cleveland. And again, another gift by the Wally Tier family. We mentioned works by Elaine Cohn earlier, and also Ruth Burkaw. And Ruth's pieces we spoke about. But I'd also like to draw your attention, and Dan's going to step down for a minute. He's going to go back and open the doors, because when you leave the sanctuary every Sunday, you see the wonderful relief works of Elaine Cohn. And let me speak on her behalf today. She says, because of travel and study of many primitive cultures, my works reflect a wide variety of symbols and designs that tell a story or set a mood. The more basic symbols often seem to me to be modern and abstract, as well as ancient and mysterious in nature. I feel it is my task to make these ancient symbols come alive and communicate through the use of color and relationships to the space around them. When I work with unrelated subject matter, such as figurative carvings, certain colors are dictated. But with ancient symbols, there is more freedom to create atmosphere and fantasy. So right in the very back, if you want to look to the back, that is the wonderful piece created by Elaine Cohn, that relief sculpture. She says she attributes her interest in the southwest part of the United States and American Indians and to her husband, Lou Cohn, for his love of the Four Corners area of New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona. Their yearly camping trip with one of their 3 sons went on for almost 30 years. The Anasazi believed to be a nature-based religion that emphasized care of the earth as a religious duty. Petroglyphs, images carved from rock, was interesting to her. It was the art and communication between people. Connections with these early peoples were important, and she used these designs and made them into modern shapes and assemblages. And those are the words of Elaine Cohn. So as Dan shared with you, also his work is part of our collection. Former member Mike Gold, we have his Unitarian Prayer, his calligraphy, which is in the hallway outside of Debbie Elliott's office. And recently we installed a piece of the late Bernie Anderson, and we have one additional piece that was gifted by his daughter recently, as well as many other international artists. So in our permanent collection, we share a vast heritage of artists and other tributes to West Shore's ministers and RE leaders. And so recently, these are the pieces I mentioned earlier today that Dan painstakingly saw were restored, and we were able to add Megan's portrait to it as well. Cam Lee, born in China and a graduate of the Cleveland Institute of Art, has worked in the fireside room, and that was part of our recent installation of pieces. We have gifts from our community partners near and far, including the Islamic Society, our partner church in Bagyan, Romania, and an LGBTQ artist, which is represented, was a gift of David Blazers that's in our chapel. We have even very significant pieces, unlike any other church, in our offices and our restrooms. Who has art in their restrooms in their churches, right? And ladies, we have an original Norman Rockwell in the women's restroom. So men, just sometime peek in there. It's right by the doorway. So. The Aesthetics Committee plans, designs, and installs art exhibits in the fireside room and throughout the church. They also maintain the permanent collection, as we've mentioned, and responsible for numerous displays and exhibits in the church, especially the holidays. There's just not too long ago, just back in December and early January, had the beautiful tree tribute to George Bliss. And I'd like to take a moment to recognize our Aesthetics Committee. So if they would stand, there's 4 of them here, and Dan, a friend of the committee. So if you stand, I don't know if any other members of the committee are out in the church. Elizabeth Garanser, Joan Grace, Suzanne Rusnak, Kathleen Russell. Thank you. And the other names are in the order of service. They provide countless hours and energy to all of our projects and care of the exhibits. Joan Grace did that beautiful flower arrangement this morning, so thank you, Joan. Now, since 2006, when I got greatly involved, I met with April Stoltz back then, if she recalls, and Dorothy Fowler and others, and we began the committee, and then Dan. We've had, believe it or not, close to 100 different art exhibitions in the fireside room or part of the church. The first one was Elaine Cohn's. And before we had that, I will tell you, we have these wonderful poles that we kind of used to hang the work on from a picture rail. Well, with Elaine Cohn, we didn't have that system yet. And Andy Castori can probably remember this. On our very first exhibition that we kind of got together as a new aesthetics team, we used fishing line. And Elaine's pieces, as you can imagine, are quite heavy. So we hung them on fishing line, and as the work started to go up, it started to sag and sag and sag. And normally it takes us now approximately about 2 to 3 hours to do a show. It took us like 8, 9 hours to put her work up. It was a lot with the sagging. We had to reinvent the wheel that day. But we learned, and Andy introduced us to that wonderful system. In addition, as the years went on, we had several exhibits with Reverend Arneson and Reverend Merlens. We did an exhibition of their beautiful stoles. We did a tribute when they left in 2016. Just recently, we had an exhibition of Reverend Anthony McCarr's beautiful paintings. And many of you remember Peter Newport, Reverend Newport, who was the husband of Tricia Hart. He had a phenomenal photography show. We worked with Soren Hansen on his Genesis Anew exhibit. Dan Pruitt's had several exhibits. His most recent Fused Glass and Mixed Media. He did a show when his daughters were brought from China, an exhibition of the work that inspired him. Most recently, Jay Hoffman did a show of his pop art. Now, we've had some fun with some titles. We had the new show, NUU. This was for new emerging artists. April was the first time she got to exhibit a beautiful relief print that she did, and a wonderful statement. So it was NUU. Then we did the Blue Show, BLUUE. Can you imagine what that was about? Everything was blue. And then we did a ZUU show, Zoo, which was about animals, so we've had some fun. We had a show one time without any art, particularly. We had QR codes, and you had to enjoy the show by looking and photographing it on your phone and then seeing the art on your phone. We've done numerous social justice exhibits. We've worked with Joan Clark in terms of Renee Jones Empowerment Center, the homeless on 1200 Lakeside, several exhibits with Green Sanctuary, 2 exhibits for Earth Fest. We've had several Pride shows, several children and youth exhibits. We've done an exhibit with the Child Care Center. We worked with Judy Montgomery and did a Zentangle show. And our lovely Judith James shared her fashions, and we did a Fashion in Vogue show. And Karen Auer, who's a quilter, we had a cute title, The Quilting Hour. It's spelled A-U-E-R instead of, the other. Andy Kosorik and Kathy have exhibited their photography and many others. We did a show on Hispanic Art Connection October, and many installations, as I said earlier, of the live art, not necessarily in the sanctuary, but in the rotunda. As we look to the future, our goal is to gain a vision for growth and encourage others in the church to continue this legacy and leadership. We hope to provide creative opportunities that will embrace the arts and worship and within the church. And we're looking to continue our exploration of how to complete the terracotta wall by the east entrance with some art forms dedicated to those who have walked these lands before us, our early members, our current members, and future members, all along with the goal of building a diverse collection of art and artifacts. So I'd like to conclude by reading, when this sanctuary was rededicated in 2017, there was a litany of dedication. This sanctuary announces and celebrates the vision of this church in the community. May all be welcomed here as they are, and challenged to grow in mind, heart, and spirit. This building stands as a monument to the wisdom, hard work, and persistence of those who imagined this church and brought it into being. May we honor their legacy now and in the future. This church embraces everyone as a community of many generations and reaches out to become a home to children and youth. May all people know that here they are welcome. This sacred space amplifies the beauty of music, the joy of laughter, the peace of silence. May many voices breathe together here and in gratitude. This gathering place echoes the call for justice and nurtures the dream of a more compassionate world. May we learn and grow here, speaking and listening well. This beautiful room reflects the beauty, the love, and the compassion we offer one another inside this church and beyond its walls to the world. May we find our spirits find rest here and strength. This sanctuary is our place of worship, a place and time where we pay attention to what is most worthy of our love and action. May we all know that here they are at home. And that again was the litany in October of 2017. So, thank you.
May our lives be reflections of the beauty, peace, and joy that is possible in the world. And may the love we find in this place sustain us as we go our separate ways. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet